Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG-PF, is urging a calm following reports of military activity in Caribbean waters. In a statement issued today, the SVG Police Force said it is aware of concerns among fishermen, mariners, and the wider public following reports of recent military activity in waters near St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the discovery of wreckage in the surrounding region. Acknowledging that for many Vincentians, the sea represents both livelihood and routine, and that any uncertainty in maritime spaces is deeply felt. The SVG Police Force noted that information released by the United States Southern Command indicates that on Friday, February 13th, an operation was conducted against a vessel believed to have been involved in organized narcotics trafficking. According to the statement, the information received so far suggests that the action was targeted intelligence-led operation and was not directed at fishing vessels or legitimate maritime activity. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force said that through its SVG Coast Guard service, it remains present and alert within the country's maritime space. Fishermen and other seafarers are encouraged to continue their normal operations while maintaining regular communication when at sea. The force also advised that any debris, unusual sightings, or unexplained activity should be reported immediately to the authorities, assuring the public that the safety of local mariners and coastal communities remains a priority. The SVG Police Force said it will continue to take all necessary steps to safeguard residents and the nation's waters. Sergeant of Police Sean Chandler is calling on the Ministry of Education to review and update school policies to address better student behavior and representation, particularly in light of emerging school social challenges. Speaking on NBC Radio's face-to-face program, Sergeant Chandler expressed concern that students wearing school uniforms are increasingly becoming indistinguishable from individuals engaged in negative activities outside of school. Chandler specifically highlighted issues such as tight-fitting pants and the wearing of earrings by male students, stating that such trends should not be permitted within the school environment. According to him, certain styles of dress and appearance have become associated with particular groups and behaviors that schools should actively distance themselves from. He emphasized that educational institutions must take a firm stance in reinforcing dress codes and behavioral expectations as part of a broader effort to curb indiscipline and limit gang influence.
To be fair, I am not bashing the Ministry of Education in no way, but they have to come up with policies and so forth, upgrade what is in school, because the how children go in school now is how persons on the road are the gang leaders, are certain groups are carrying themselves. The tight pants, the earring in ears, the chains, the caps, and in my time in St. Martin, that was a no-no.
Yeah.
If Brother Alfred only see a Nike sign under your school shirt, he was going home because he was not in keeping with the code of conduct.
Exactly.
And literally, the code of conduct in schools and workplace, it giving these youths an idea. We starting you in school. You need to follow the code of conduct for the school. When they leave school and they go into the workplace, here comes the ethics again as it pertains to work, rules and regulations.
Sergeant Chandler noted that maintaining clear standards within schools sends a strong message about discipline, accountability, and the values expected of students. Furthermore, Sergeant Chandler pointed out that the issue does not begin at the school gate, but at home. He stated that parents and guardians play a critical role in shaping attitudes and ensuring that children adhere to the rules, responsibilities. He said this is something that starts at home, adding that some individuals may be straying from their parental duties, which in turn affects how children conduct themselves in public spaces.
This is something that you are being bent with from the home, and plenty parents strays away from their duties. And under family law, I know that if a parent fails to do his or her duty as a parent, they are liable under the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I can't see how you would bring a child and a child would just, you can't see no change at all in a child as it pertains to their behavioral pattern as it changes, right? And the youth themselves, I would say, they have a head on the shoulder. Yeah. They can think. Some of the students in some of the tertiary level education, you would wonder if they usually use their head sometimes. It's unfair to say, but we have to speak it as it is, because if we just come with the pretty word with the laws and spell it out for you, sometimes they don't really understand it. So we'd have to bring the Vincentian dialect into play so sometimes they understand it. And what we would say from a tactical perspective is that we ain't coming and baby you. We will tell you how it is.
Surgeon Chandler called for a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Education, parents, and community leaders to reinforce standards and ensure that schools remain safe, structured environments conducive to learning and positive development. Meanwhile, principal of the St. Martin's Secondary School, Father Colin Jackson, is warning that failure to address gang activity among young people could have long-term consequences for society. Speaking on the issues at hand, speaking on the issue on the Police on the Beat program, Father Jackson stated that if youth gang involvement is not taken seriously, it could be embedded in the very fabric of society, making it increasingly difficult to reverse.
I think we only need to look at our neighbors to see what the impact could be. It's very interesting that I'm Trinidadian, and the first time I heard a gunshot, an actual gunshot, is when I came to St. Vincent. And I'm not saying that Trinidad doesn't have, I mean, obviously it does, but I'm saying that because of how small the society is, things impact in a greater way than in a larger society. If we are not careful, we will find ourselves creating a culture that passes just the youth, that goes into the fabric of society, and it's very difficult to pull it back once it gets into that place. I talk about the ghetto fabulous culture that is developing, where we sort of make the things that are not good look good. The eat a food mentality, and gang warfare lives in that sort of thing. And so the impact on the communities is real, and it will have a lasting effect.
Jackson noted that young people naturally gravitate toward groups as belonging is one of the fundamental human needs. However, he emphasized that while group affiliation can be positive, fostering teamwork, identity, and support, it can also become harmful depending on the nature and influence of the group.
We talk about gangs, but we talk about a particular type of gang when we say gang in this context, because it is natural that groups form. Human beings, we have needs and they need to belong, and so it is natural that groups form. And we have to look at the type of groups that are being formed. So you have all of these sports groups. In a sense, that's a gang, but it's positive. And so in itself, becoming a part of a group is what we all seek. We all seek to be part of a group. It's human. But it's what group? And if we are seeking love, if we are seeking formation, if we are seeking to be recognized, will go to where we're getting it. So I suppose, I'm jumping ahead, I suppose we really have to start thinking about how we can re-engineer so that the society is set up in such a way where young people can get what they need.
The school principal called on parents, educators, churches, and community leaders to play a more active role in guiding youths towards constructive organizations such as sports teams, service clubs, and faith-based groups that encourage discipline, accountability, and personal growth.
A parent who leaves home at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to make ends meet and gets back home at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the afternoon because of transport or all of those things, isn't really available to their son or their daughter for love and formation. But on the flip side, if this parent chooses not to, then what happens? And so we have to look at the whole thing. It's not just one part. We have to look at the whole society and see how we've set up things that causes the problems that we're seeing right now.
Father Jackson stressed that early intervention, mentorship, and value-based education are essential in preventing normalization of gang culture and ensuring young people develop into responsible members of society. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force has reported that an operation carried out in West Kingstown on Monday, February 16th, resulted in the seizure of cocaine and the arrest of 2 men. According to a news release issued today, the Narcotics Unit, Rapid Response Unit, and the Special Services Unit combined their resources in a joint intelligence-led operation. The exercise led to the recovery of 22.9 pounds of cocaine and the arrest of 2 36-year-old men, Sebastian Bush Ardain of Lomans Bay and Alvin Cyrus of Lago Heights. Both men were charged with possession and trafficking of a controlled drug. The SVG Police Force said the success of the operation highlights the value of specialized units working in coordination to address specific threats to local communities. The force noted that when these divisions align, they create the operational reach necessary to intercept illegal substances before they circulate further. It added that a presence of a quantity of narcotics at a residential location underscores the importance of coordinated efforts in maintaining the stability and peace of neighborhoods. Acknowledging that incidents of this scale often generate public discussion, the RSVG Police Force stated that its primary focus remains the tangible safety of the citizens it serves. The force said the professionalism displayed by the officers involved reflects a readiness to act on credible intelligence with a clear objective, protecting the interests of every law-abiding citizen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines by removing contraband and disrupting the networks behind it. The RSVG Police Force said it continues to uphold the law and maintain public order and will persist in monitoring and addressing organized drug activity. Emphasizing that public safety is a shared responsibility, the force said the outcome of Monday's operation reflects the ongoing relationship between the police and the community. It expressed appreciation to those who provide information that allows it to specialize units to operate effectively and affirmed that it will continue taking the necessary steps to keep the nation's streets and borders secure. In relation to the 2 men charged, Sebastian Bush Ardain appeared before the family court on Wednesday, February 18th, where he pleaded guilty to the offense. He was remanded into custody, and the matter was transferred to the Layou Magistrates Court for sentencing on Thursday, February 19th. Alvin Cyrus pleaded not guilty and was granted bail in the sum of $30,000 with one surety. His matter was transferred to the Serious Offences Court, where it is scheduled to be heard on March 2nd, 2026. The Zero Hunger Trust Fund is celebrating 10 years of impacting lives across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking yesterday at the media launch of the organization's anniversary activities, a board trustee and Deputy Chief Education Officer Joycelyn Blake Brown said the Zero Hunger Trust Fund has assisted a wide cross-section of beneficiaries, including thousands of students over the past decade.
Of our work is the understanding that nutrition and learning are inseparable. Through the Resilient School Feeding Program, which started in 2016, the fund has supported 21 schools, 4,133 students, serving more than 2.6 million meals. Yes, behind that figure are children who were able to focus in classrooms, families who felt relief, teachers who saw improved engagement. But this program goes beyond feeding. It integrates local sourcing of produce, school gardens, composting system, nutrition-focused procurement, behavior change education.
Blake Brown added that families and communities have also benefited significantly. She emphasized that the Zero Hunger Trust Fund is not merely a financial mechanism, but an institution driven by strong commitment to ensuring food security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
National Food Security Drive demonstrates that community-based resilience looks like in practice. Over 3,000 households were supported. This is empowerment at scale, not dependency, not one-off relief, but strengthening household production, diversifying diets, reducing food costs, and building climate-resilient systems. Through the Youth Agri-Science Internship Program, YASIP, 75 interns have gained industry experience across businesses and organizations. These young Vincentians learn greenhouse management, farm operations, agribusiness exposure, mentorship, and innovation pathways.
Minister of Tourism, Dr. Kishore Shallow, was present and underscored the importance of the work of the Zero Hunger Trust Fund. He commended the dedication of its board, partners, and stakeholders, including the government, for their continued collaboration and support in advancing the fight against hunger.
It shows as a testament of what we could achieve when government, communities, the civil society, and the private sector collaborate and work together, and how we could actually confront one of the most fundamental challenges facing our people, which is indeed food security. It's absolutely no secret. And I think it inspires many other stakeholders, on other initiatives that are so critical to our continued existence. This organization has been built through stalwart contributions over the years, following the conceptualization of the former government, and might I add, supported by then opposition in Parliament when the act was passed in 2016. I won't forget that, of course. But it's good that you have the two political parties in the country agreeing on something. And I think we could safely say that the Zero Hunger Trust Fund is done.
The anniversary celebrations are expected to highlight the fund's achievements over the past decade while outlining its vision for the future. The Zero Hunger Trust Fund will observe Zero Hunger Day on April 6, 2026. The observance forms a part of a series of activities scheduled for April as the organization celebrates 10 years of service. Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Zero Hunger Trust Fund, Sophia Hornbeek, said the journey of the organization over the past decade has been commendable, noting that it has consistently worked towards its mandate that no one should go hungry.
Of the program, I stand here today privileged as the Director and CEO of the ZHTF. I often say this is the most important work I have done in my career, and it's no joke. When you see the impact that you have, because sometimes we work in policy space and you know you're doing policy, you're doing strategy, but you don't see the impact. And for me, seeing the impact immediately is why this is the most important job I have ever had. And we are currently doing work towards the development of a new strategic plan that will take us into the next 5 years. Zero hunger is a sustainable development goal too. And we have international commitments, we have some indicators, we have some targets. Prior to all the things that were mentioned before in terms of the shocks, the climate shocks, the economic shocks, we had reported to the UN that we are on our path to zero hunger.
The Ministry of Education, through the National Center for Technological Innovation, NCTI, is making a significant progress in advancing its programs. Today, one of the NCTI's IT conference was held with stakeholders at the Methodist Church Hall, bringing together teachers and students. Minister of Education, Vocational Training, Innovation, Digital Transformation and Information, Philip Jackson, said the ministry is making strides in furthering information technology across the country.
Our brothers and sisters now in the same family. And I want us to reimagine ourselves as working together to really transform the landscape for technology, digitalization, business transformation, and how we conduct education. Now I want to focus on some obvious and immediate opportunities for collaboration. I've always maintained that the iCode 784 competition is excellent, but Apollo will remember I've always argued for an accelerator, where we take the excellent ideas, surround the students with all of the competent individuals throughout the public service, folks with engineering, computer engineering, you name it, business acumen, and put those ideas in an incubator to take them to a level where they can be implemented and adopted.
The minister added that he is exploring ways to strengthen partnerships with stakeholders and collaborate with experts in the public sector to share their knowledge and expertise.
It's allowed, so I'm just repeating, I'm echoing myself. We can use some of these professionals to help our students take their ideas to the next level, but more than that, and I'm coming to another area that's for collaboration. Some of these professionals can also spend some time in businesses. I see Mr. John there from Computech. Welcome. Computech was the first place I learned to send an email about 60 years ago. So thank you so much for your investments, early investments in technology, Mr. John. Yes, so here we have all of these professionals in the public sector. I think they can spend some time with a business in a rural community, helping them to understand what their digital needs are.
Minister Jackson also encouraged IT professionals to form a network that would advance their work in a meaningful way. Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Center for Technological Innovation, Petrus Gums, outlined the many programs that have incorporated artificial intelligence. Gums said these initiatives will continue to expand to benefit more teachers and students.
We have worked with as you heard Ms. Dyer, with the Ministry of specifically curriculum in the training of over 100 teachers in the use of AI and how to use AI in the classroom. Since then, we have been going out to the various schools, or we requested by the various schools to come and continue training with them. And this year, we are hoping to present to the ministry, well, to our ministry now, the continued training of teachers in ICT and information technology tools.
Other programs by the NCTI include the annual robotics competition, and plans are on the way to work more closely with community groups and small businesses. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Foreign Investment and Diaspora Affairs, Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble, on Monday, February 15, 2026, received a courtesy call from Greg C.E. Rollins, representative of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, to the Eastern Caribbean states at the ministry's office. A news release says the meeting provided a valuable opportunity for constructive dialogue on a range of issues of shared interest. Discussions focus on ongoing and planned initiatives, as well as opportunities for strengthened collaboration in support of agricultural development and related programs across the region. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Foreign Investment and Diaspora Affairs reaffirms its commitment to fostering strategic partnerships that contribute to sustainable development, food security and economic growth within the Eastern Caribbean. Meanwhile, IICA's representative in the Eastern Caribbean states, along with technical specialist Michael Dalton, paid a courtesy call to Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Rural Transformation Israel Bruce at the ministry's headquarters also on Monday. A release says the discussions were held on strengthening resilience in agriculture and livestock production, enhancing capacity building initiatives, and promoting the empowerment of women and youth in agriculture. They also discussed the possible establishment of a national agricultural management information system and greater engagement with the Marketing Information Organization of the Americas to improve data-driven decision-making in the agricultural sector. Additional discussions were held on adopting a modern approach to agriculture through the integration of digital tools such as My GeoFarm app.